Hello, everybody, and welcome to CMPS 3663 Introduction to Computer Security. I'm your instructor. My name is Ted Lane, and I'm looking forward to getting to know you all a little bit more throughout the semester, as much as we can in this kind of online environment. Before I move on into the rest of this presentation, I wanted to send a special shout out slash welcome to Manish, Binay, Rohan, and Jackson King, who I've had in previous classes. It's always good to see familiar names and familiar faces, and hopefully I'll see some of you in this class and other classes that I will be teaching in the future. So, for 4 out of 24 of you have worked with me before, so there's still 20 of you that don't know anything about me. So I'm going to take 5 minutes to tell you just a hair about the last 40 years of my life, and then we're going to move on to the meat of what we're here to do. First of all, you need to understand I live in Denton. It's about a 2-hour drive south. I'm on the north side of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, if you will. So it's about a 2-hour drive between Wichita Falls and Denton, at least as fast as this old man goes. Maybe you could make it an hour and 45 minutes, but me, it's probably right around 2. Regardless, I have a bachelor's degree from Chapman University. That I got in 1988, but I've never set foot on the campus. And my master's is from Midwestern State, which I actually finally received in 2020. Now, I raise these points not necessarily to establish my academic credentials. These are also available on my profile on the Midwestern State University website under the student faculty locator stuff. You can see my profile there if you have any interest in it whatsoever. But what you need to know is that I actually was on campus there at Midwestern from 1989 to 1995. I was in the Air Force. I was stationed at Shepherd, and I had completed my bachelor's degree a few years before, and decided to go ahead and get started on my master's. And so I went there, same hall that you guys are in. I went there, a couple times a week for 5 or 6 years. I forget exactly how long it was. However, I had completed all the courses that I needed to take. I lacked only the research paper and orals to degree out when an opportunity came to retire from the Air Force a little bit early. I did that and started a civilian career that took off. And when I left in 1995, I intended to graduate. I contracted for a degree, and then my civilian career took off, and it seemed like I was moving every year or two or something like that for several years, and got into some pretty fast-paced stuff, and just didn't feel like I had time for it until, like I said, around 2019. I got to thinking about, well, this is not really going to help me in my career necessarily, but from a personal perspective, I don't like leaving things undone. So I reached out and got some, a couple times. I had to reach out a couple times before I finally got to the right people, and they helped. They got me connected with the right people and all that kind of stuff, and we came up with a plan for me to finish. So really, pretty much everything I needed to do, I completed in the fall semester of 2019, and then I think I was kind of finishing up my paper the first semester of 2020, and then I graduated in June of 2020, of course, right in the middle of COVID. So I actually went through the ceremony, I think, in 2021, as I recall. So I've been an instructor at Midwestern for about a year. Started in the spring of 24 term, and I teach this class in CMPS 1023, the digital culture. So the other thing too is you can already kind of tell from the brief history I've given you is that I'm not an academic. I appreciate academia. There are days when I think, well, why didn't I go on and get my doctorate years ago and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And actually still consider whether I shouldn't just go ahead and get a doctorate. But regardless, I've spent the last 30 years doing the work as in IT at various different commercial firms over the years, mostly in financial services, although I did have a run at retail for a while, and I've done some consulting and all that kind of stuff. So I've had a pretty successful career, um, but at the end of the day, I don't spend a lot of time reading, the proceedings or any of those kinds of things simply because I'm too busy doing it. And I, spend a lot of time learning and going to classes and conferences and things like, participating with other CISOs. So I'm very, very busy in this field all the time. It's just not necessarily from an academic perspective. What that will entail is that for you guys, it means that I'm going to probably, before I get into that, one other note is I am a fifth generation Irish American. And in particular, my family came from the western part of Ireland, which were the rebels that maintained the culture and the traditions throughout the British occupation. So if you were to get together at a family gathering, if you were to see one of my family gatherings with the extended family, you'd think we all just got off the boat, right? In Ellis Island, sometimes the way we talk and what we do. I raise this point because ancient Irish tradition, and even to this day, to some extent, Irish tradition and culture reveres storytelling. And so in our family gatherings, everybody had stories. And honestly, many of the stories we'd all heard many times. We didn't care. We just enjoyed hearing the stories and hearing how they'd been embellished and modified and made better over the years and all that kind of stuff. So I have a tendency to move into stories, kind of like this one. I'm trying very hard to curb that to ensure that we get through material quickly. But I will promise you that when there are relevant stories with my experiences in information security, I will raise those up, and you'll find that I'm going to ask some questions, and I'm going to challenge some things that you're going to read, and that's based on, again, experience in the field. So I'm not going to go through my Air Force career or civilian career any longer. In fact, it's enough about me. Let's go ahead and talk about the class a bit. So let me switch over to the desktop so you can see D2L. I don't really have to give you any real introduction to D2L. I'm sure by this time you've interacted with D2L enough, and you've probably could tell me things that I'm still learning after a year of being in it deep here. What we are going to do though is we're going to go through the course documents real quick. Now, first of all, let me touch on a few things. First of all, if you've rented the text that we're going to be using from Pearson VUE, or VUE, I don't know how they pronounce it. If you've rented the materials, you have direct linkage to the text from within D2L. And so this is the book that we'll be using, Computer Security Principles and Practice by Stallings and Brown. This is the first class where we'll be teaching the 5th edition. Previous classes went off the 4th edition. There's not a ton of real earth-shaking differences between 4 and 5 anyway, so the material is not going to be tremendously different, but I did want you to be aware of that. Hopefully, if you've purchased the textbook, you got the right one from the bookstore, because they were notified back in October that we were going to version 5. So that should be what you've got. If not, let me know, and we'll see where we go from there on that. Let's go back. I'm sorry. Let me go back to content. Okay, that's where we're at. So the other thing is this discussion forum, and really, this is kind of like. This is for open discussion amongst everybody. It's not necessarily an assignment. One of the things I'll be talking about in there, and that I'll have something in there here real soon on, is a discussion about exams, the exam time. So we have 2 exams coming up. One is the week following spring break. The other one is later on in the year. I forget exactly when that is. And we'll see it in a few minutes. Those exams are not going to be online. They're going to be in-person proctored exams. They should take about an hour, and I'll have a location, because I don't have an office or anything like that on campus. I'm working with Dr. Stringfellow, who's the computer science chair, to arrange to have an appropriate room and everything else for that. My expectation is that we'll be doing these tests at the end of the week to give you the majority of the week to study. And this discussion will probably be a lot about, I'm going to propose some times out there and kind of look for all of you to chime in on your availability. You should have if you're working or you have other classes, there should be sufficient time for you to make arrangements to be absent from wherever. But in the end, that's what this discussion thing is all about, for us to do that. The only other thing too is that I may, as I get good questions from people, I may post them in the discussion post, just for everyone to understand what the question was and what the answer is, just so everybody can share. In a classroom, we would have that option. We would have that opportunity. Someone could ask a question, everybody, here's the question, here's the answer, everybody learns something, probably. However, online, that's one thing that's really missing, is you kind of miss that, that additional information that comes when we're interacting together. So we'll make up for it here and there. So and while we're on that, we'll go ahead and move on. While we're on that, I'm going to raise another point too, is that and again, I'm not going to dwell on this as much as I do in the other class. You guys have been around long enough to know, pretty much the rules, right? You know the rules about cheating and everything else. That's there's that. I mean, you all know those rules. But so one of the things, though, that the original writer of this course, Robert Smith, who was an agent with the FBI, had instituted, that I actually really think is a good idea, is he had it set up so that for you to move on to the coursework, you had to complete a quiz on the syllabus on these course documents. So, I understand human nature. Most of us don't want to read things like a syllabus, and may even necessarily, we don't necessarily want to spend a lot of time in the schedule or any of those kinds of things. I get it. We all have limited amounts of time. We don't, we tend to give these things less value than they need. However, I've also experienced, and I mentioned this before, I've experienced that I've had, students that ended up cheating or whatever, or violated the rules, so to speak. And, the claim was, well, I didn't know. And the answer to that is always, it's in the syllabus. All of the hard and fast rules are in the syllabus. Same thing with not knowing that a particular activity was coming up. Again, it's in the schedule. And we're looking, again, you guys are not in your first year, you're not in high school anymore. We're looking for professional, I'm looking for professional results. And so there's a document in here that discusses our written assignment format. So the essence of it is, if you're doing a paper on something and you use some material as reference, you need to give the appropriate citations for it. So we're going to talk so that this written assignment format piece is about that. And then, so this is all finished up by syllabus quiz. Now, here's the way this works is, nothing else will be visible to you. If I were to go out here, let me go out here and show you what happens as a student. We see this all because I'm the instructor, and of course, I'm the one that's writing 90% of this stuff and all that kind of thing. If you were to look at this, you would see that, this is all you see under course documents. You don't see anything else beyond these four. In particular, like if you get into the actual weeks themselves, you can't see anything. And that's because that syllabus quiz has not been completed yet. So here's the deal. Watch this intro. Read the syllabus closely. Look at the schedule closely. Read the written assignment format instructions, and then take the quiz. Pass the quiz with 70%. Everything will be available to you, and you can press on with pride and have lots of fun in this class. You can take the quiz as many times as necessary to get to 70%. And to tell you the truth, it's not a difficult quiz at all. So read the stuff, take the quiz, and then let's move on. All right. Okay. Let's get on to, let's get back to the content itself. Or let's get those course documents. I'll go through them hopefully very briefly. Syllabus. No. How can this be? I'm going to go ahead and do this right now simply because I really don't want to start over on this. I don't know why this isn't here, but we're going to go ahead and do it. All right, here's the syllabus. You won't have to go through all that craziness to get it out. I have no idea why it wasn't there, but it wasn't there. That's okay. Let me make sure. Yep, I'm on the right one. Okay. Syllabus, intro to cybersecurity, blah, blah, blah. You got the dates. You're familiar with the catalog description. You know my name. As far as office hours are concerned, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 to 12. Now, because I don't have an office, there's no place to come to. So it's online. Now, in general, I tend to respond a little bit more to email. I understand other classes use Slack as kind of like, the idea is that I have Slack up from 10 to 12 and you could contact me and get immediate response. Okay, that'd be kind of cool too. Might look into that. But in the meantime, we could also use the discussion forum, or 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 just send me an email. And that's the deal. But kind of the contract here is Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'll be probably sitting at my desk between 10 and 12. Email will be up. You send me an email, I'll respond to it. First one, first serve, all that good stuff. So it may not be immediate, but it should be quick. The reality of it is that I'm in my office at my desk a lot anyway, and I don't wait for office hours to respond. So lots of people can tell you that if you send me an email on the weekend, I'm probably going to respond on the weekend. Now, I'm not the kind of person that constantly stares at my email either. I've got a life. I've got other things that I do. So, but I do look at it frequently because, man, I've been an executive for years, and life revolved around emails and what I heard, and so I look at it frequently, but I don't look at it constantly because I've got other things going on. So those are your options as far as getting a hold of me. I don't have an office phone that you can call. I don't do texts. Don't get me started. I don't want to get on a rant. And I know you guys go, well, he's just an old guy. Okay, whatever. Regardless, I don't do texts. So email's right there. Required textbook, we already covered. Principles and Practices, 5th edition by Stalling and Brown. You must have this. You can rent it from Pearson VUE. You can buy it, whatever is necessary, but you need to have that. The good news is if you do the online rental, again, you can get it right directly from D2L. You'll be able to get to it. And it is, of course, a lot cheaper to rent it than it is to buy it. So as far as the big hitters, as far as how your grading is, there's 2 exams and 2 major projects. One in the second one in particular is going to be a ton of fun. I am so looking forward to it. And when we talk about it, you're probably going to go, "You think that's fun?" Yes, I think that kind of stuff's fun. I'm a cyber geek. I'm a security geek. What can I tell you? But that's it. So quizzes, 30 points. There's one pretty much every week, at least one, sometimes 2 or 3. It's about every subject area's got a quiz associated with it. Exams, 25 each, so exams matter. Projects are important too, 10 points each. Grading scale, pretty straightforward. No, I don't. I don't do extra credit generally. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all pretty straightforward. And the good news is, because everything's done in D2L, it's automatically graded. Now, that doesn't mean that I never grade. I actually do grade, and I also tend to provide a lot of feedback. Again, those students who have been with me before know that I tend to provide quite a lot of feedback. I think it's very important not just to tell you that you came up with the wrong answer, but to try to tell you kind of how you come to the right answer and some thinking and this and that and the other stuff. Try to give you more so that you'll be better prepared, particularly if you're taking quizzes. You'll be better prepared for exams later on. Attendance, I'm not going to get into that. Again, you guys, if you're in a 3000 series course, you know how to manage your time. You know what you need to do. But again, I'll point out the fact that everything has a due date, and you got to hit the due date. Tutoring, not going to go through that again. I think I said this in one of the previous iterations of this introduction. You guys are much more likely to be tutors than to need a tutor. Tutors, but okay. If you need a tutor, they're available. That's all I'm going to do. Late policy, okay. You can turn in something late up to 1 week. There is a 10% per day penalty on your grade. So if you scored a 90 and you're 1 day late, your actual grade is going to be 80. Okay? I don't need to tell you any more than that. You guys are not, you're not newbies. You've been doing this for a while. Cheating. Again, I shouldn't have to, I'm not going to get into all the various different definitions. You all know what cheating is. I can simplify this all to say that if you need help of any kind on assistance, the only person you can really reach out to on it is me. Now, one of the things that I noticed in earlier classes, again, and these are with young students that are just coming in, is that they did, they seem to be very, very hesitant to reach out to me, to communicate with me. Oftentimes, when I would send them an email, they wouldn't even respond. Now, they wouldn't respond directly back like, yeah, I got it, I'll take care of it, or anything like that. It was more like nothing. I would get nothing back. And so it's, then the question is, did they see it? Did they do it? Whatever. The upshot of it is, if I send you an email, I would really appreciate it if and this is good professional practice, not just me being a jerk. If I send you an email, respond in some form or fashion, even if it's nothing more than, okay, I saw it, I'll take care of it. Oh, and, don't, the other part is, and I can't imagine where you guys are right now, you would be afraid to reach out to me on an issue. So I expect to hear a lot more from people in this class. I expect you to have a lot more questions and to respond when I send you an email. Okay? But here's the big deal. I can tell you that one of the most common issues that people seem to have is they seem to think that, well, these guys are my roommates, so I can work with them. Nope, you can't. There is no assignment in this class that you can work with anyone else on. If you have a problem, if you have a question, if you're stuck, send me an email, talk to me. And if you really want to talk to me, or you want to have a Zoom session or something like that, some kind of shared session, we can make that arrangement happen. I don't mind at all. That's my job. I like it. I like interacting with people. So, the official policy, again, I'm not going to go through that. You guys can read it. You have to anyway. Student handbook, again, not disabilities, recording a lot class lectures. Okay, all of my lectures will be posted on, are going to be in YouTube. Now, it's not like they're going to be, they are public, anyone can access them, but on the other hand, the only way they'd be able to access them is via the actual URL, and I'm not publishing the URL at all. It's in D2L. When you click on the link, you'll go to that place. But the upshot of it is, don't share anything, any kind of materials you get with anyone else, unless you get my explicit permission on it. It is copyrighted material. Not that I have any big, I don't have a big head about what I've done being so much better than what anyone else has done. But on the other hand, we need to act professionally, and that just wouldn't be very professional. So that's it. Testing policy, and these are going to be applicable to when we actually do the proctored exams, the 2 proctored exams. Now, the first one, we'll be going through the schedule here in a minute. I'll get to that there. Counseling center and campus carry, blah, blah, blah. Again, read them, understand it, but I can't add anything to them. Important dates, that goes to the academic calendar and student resources. We'll talk about other resources that are available to you. That's stuff that's generally required in the syllabus. Okay, that's the syllabus. Go back through, read it again on your own, take a little bit more time, click a link or two, whatever you need to do, to feel like you're comfortable and aren't going to get hung up in the quiz on it, let's talk about the schedule. 17 weeks in this term. The first week, this week, is fairly straightforward and fairly easy. There's a couple different things to read online, and the first chapter of Stallings and Brown. I will also have a video available for you and the notes, the PowerPoint will be available also for study purposes and the like afterwards. Again, you'll want to watch those videos. Yes, they're going to be covering the material that's in the book, but again, I tell stories, and sometimes, while I don't disagree with what's being said, I will have questions for you to think about, or perspectives, observations, I call them frequently, observations that come from 25 years of experience in information security on, just maybe a little bit more, if you will. So you're going to want that little bit more, because anything that is presented in the book or in the lecture is testable. Okay? Legal. So anyway, you're gonna see that we kind of jump around the book a little bit, go to chapter 19 to talk about legal and ethical aspects. This is an area that I'm very, very well acquainted with. I spent a lot of time on compliance and risk and governance throughout my career, so I can talk to that. I don't know that I would have put it as number 2, but given that, again, this course was designed by Robert Smith, an FBI agent, he probably felt like it was very important that you understand that this is not just technical fun. There's real legal teeth behind it, and all I can tell you for sure, and I know this firsthand, is the legal requirements and the legal oversight is getting tremendous, and it's not going to be getting easier at all. One of the bigger challenges that they'll be covering in the material is that there is no single source of law as to the requirements for cybersecurity for companies. There are, in particular in the United States, if you have the company I came from, we did business in all 50 states. Consequently, almost every state has examiners, and almost all of those examiners have a practice of looking into information security at the various different organizations that are licensed to do business in that state, and they're all over the map as far as complexity and detail and how much effort it takes and all that kind of thing. And I can tell you that over the last 10 years, having watched this, it's just getting deeper and deeper and deeper. The reality of it is they're getting smarter. The states, the people, the employees of the state departments that do these examinations are getting smarter, and they're asking much more pointed questions. And there's fines and business licenses, all sorts of stuff that are coming into play that will be very, very important in a commercial concern that does business in those states. And like I said, it could be all 50. Now, my experience is not every state is the same level of maturity. Not every state is asking the deep questions, and sometimes you'll get a group of states that get together and ask once, which actually I appreciate. But the short thing is that this stuff is important. It's not necessarily particularly geeky or fun, but it is also extremely important. You don't want to be pursuing the technology without being completely aware of what's going on in the legal and ethical end of things. And then your first assignment, project 1, is generative AI. Now, I think, as I recall, the way I have this set up, you'll be able to see the requirements immediately as soon as you get through the syllabus. The reason for that is you probably want to be working on this assignment before work 3. You want to be doing research and everything else. If it was me, I'd have all my research and have read all my research and all that kind of thing and have a general outline before I got to week 3, and then I could spend week 3 writing the paper. Because you need to think about this paper as being not unlike what you would do as a research paper for graduation and a master's, because that's kind of the level of what we're looking for. So, and it's going to be on generative AI. The rest of these things, the next one I would talk about is starting in week 6. We're going to be talking about buffer overflows. And what's really, really fun is coming up in week 9. Project 2 is your buffer overflow. And in that case, you're going to be in a simulated environment, and you're going to use buffer overflow attacks to exploit a vulnerability in an application that will be provided for you. And in exploiting that vulnerability, you will be able to reveal a secret, and you get that secret back to me, and along with a report and all that kind of thing, you're doing well. If any of you have ever heard of a capture the flag kind of activity out there, this is similar to capture the flag. And so, again, I'm really excited to see that come up, but you need to start preparing for that. So, you get that particular, I believe that I gave you a month in both cases. The material will be available a full month before it's due. You'll have other things going on in there, but make sure that you carve out some time to do the research and be prepared, because if you're going to try to get it all done in a week, that would be difficult, given that you probably have, other classes and jobs and lives and stuff like that. But, that's just me. I'm just giving you some pointers. So you can see that there's going to be some chapters in the book. So if you look at the book and say, gosh, that's awful thick, you see there's some chapters we're not covering. I'm going to take that under advisement and think about whether that's something we're going to cover elsewhere. Actually, if you read the book closely and the preface and everything else, they'll talk about if you were to master the material in the book, you would be prepared to take the examination to be a CISSP. That's a Computer Information System Security Professional, is what that is. That's probably the gold standard of certifications in the information security space. I would tell you there's others that are better and that are harder. The CISSP is very hard. It's hard. It's very, very hard. I spent months preparing and studying and everything else to take it. And I've known some very smart people that took it 3 times and failed every single time, which is very, very expensive because it's not a cheap test to take. And so, the upshot of it is, if I, at some point, I may look at, depending, after I've done this class a few times, see if we can maybe push more of that in there and kind of complete, give you enough so that you could take the CISSP exam. In reality, you'd probably take the SSCP exam. The CISSP has an experience requirement, and unless you've worked in the industry, you're unlikely to have the level of experience necessary to get it. But, anyway, so that's what's going on there. That's the book. That's kind of the schedule. Finals week, we don't have a final. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That's exam 2. You could call that the final. I need to make that clear. So we do have a final date, time, location will be decided. So I'll be in town 3 times over this class, where there will be opportunities for me to meet with you personally if you'd like. Uh, two of them will be during these exams, and then in the beginning of April, somewhere around week 12, I forget the exact date, will be the student conference there at Midwestern, where there will be other students from other universities and everything else. I highly encourage you guys to attend if you can. Get used to that. You're going to want to go to conferences when you're in the professional world, so kind of get used to that, number one. But I will be doing the keynote address on the morning of the first day, and you get to hear a few more of my stories. Now, you may be sick of my stories by that time, but anyway, so there'll be opportunities there. I'll probably be coming in the night before, and then I'll hang around the conference for a little bit after the keynote to chat with people. So if you want to swing by and say howdy, if you haven't had a chance to meet with me before. So I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to say have a great semester. Make sure that you send me an email if you got a question. So we can play Stump the Dummy. You guys can ask me hard questions and see what I really know. And all I can tell you is, I don't know everything. So you're going to probably find some things that I don't know, but there's also things that I can find out about and help you with. So again, have a great semester, and I'll look forward to hearing from you all very soon.